The Abuja School of Social and Political Thought has faulted the revocation of a 15-year contract to Antasa Nigeria Limited to develop the international cargo tracking system and calls for policy continuity and due process in contracts and procurement. At a policy dialogue, officials sought to address issues of contractual violations by Nigeria to avoid legal consequences. They are calling for sanity in the procurement process and for the execution of contracts to address the problem of contract breaches that have given Nigeria a negative reputation that likely scares off potential investors.
It doesn't make sense for government to cancel the contract given to Antasa Nigeria Limited and award to another company after a contract has gone through due process. If they have to cancel that contract, it must be on some substantial ground, like, for example, illegality, contract against morality, or they discover corruption in the procurement process, or they discover that the company, through implementation, don't have the capacity they claim to, which is fraud. So if you don't have any of this, then that contract should not be re-awarded to anybody. In this case, from the facts reported in public domain, the contractor, the new contractor, actually lacks competence compared with the other one, has no track record of. The new contractor is actually going to pay him money, about $20 million. The old contractor is actually going to invest his own money and share profit with you.
We need to enlighten stakeholders on the relevant legal and policy frameworks that can guarantee effectiveness and efficiency relevant to the procurement goal and objectives, particularly in this instance. We have what is called the National Monitoring and Evaluation Policy 2022, which was seemingly negated in this procurement process.
Being a member of the international finance community, I can tell all of us, 200 million of us, for free, that if there are contractual mishaps, that this is not going to augur well for our credit reputation and therefore not augur well for our seeking additional funds from the international market. So I would say let's tread carefully.
Well, for more on this, let's have this conversation with a Rise News analyst and director, Abuja School of Social and Political Thought, Associate Professor of Law, Sam Amadi. Welcome again to Newsnight. It's been a while.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
Good to have you.
And this is another problem again for Nigeria. You know, you would have expected that the contract that had gone through, due process, BPP, that is the Bureau of Public Procurement and the rest, certified contract was already running, and somebody somewhere said no, they are cancelling it. What are some of the implications? The IFC man was trying to explain.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Abuja School basically brings people together, experts and professionals or fellows, and what they're looking at is one of the things we've learned. We have low investment. You look at the rollout, we've not been getting foreign investment as much as we could. Angola in the oil sector is getting more than we do. Ghana, that just started. And so the question is, what are we looking at? The investors are going to look at critical things, the part of the rule of law component. Do you have sufficient constraint on the executive branch in terms of what they do with contracts? So this case is very clear. You awarded a contract. There are many protocols, tools for managing contracts. So if the contract is not performed according to the terms, then you could trigger some of those things. But a contract for 15 years and not up to 2 years, and you've not even started the contract, you re-award the same contract to a different person. That's really the problem here. So you didn't terminate the contract. And again, you have an institution called Bureau for Public Enterprises that does verification processes and gives a certificate of no objection. Now what that means is, look, first, the BPA establishes that the contract is viable. That's a contract to be awarded. That's budget or process is okay. And then they look at technical qualification. You are capable. This firm can do it. You have gone through due process. They look at financial terms, verify. No objection means go ahead and award it.
The federal government had no penny in it.
Well, the federal government awarded it. And meanwhile, this is a revenue sharing. So it's more like
60-40, a PPP.
Exactly, the typical PPP. You go fix this problem for us. And by the way, track and note is critical to both dealing with oil losses, dealing with small good arms. Today, Nigeria is a dumping ground. There's a lot of concerns around the fact that we see illegal commodities, arms, small arms, dumped. So you need to track all these things, surveillance. And then, of course, the custom certifies this is viable project, important for us, and doable. All the agencies there, including NICDAD. So the question then is, suddenly a new government comes in, reawards that contract to somebody you're going to pay about $20-something million, and then you see the same new objection, no objection certificate is issued again. So the question, this is not just about whoever the parties are who probably will go to court to challenge and post on us significant liability. And we're just coming out from the PNI crisis, PNID crisis, and we're back to the one with Ogun, with the Chinese that resulted in potential.
And there's still one pending in Adama, the power.
The power project. So we have several of these, and the question is, this is self-inflicted. This is costly in terms of fees, the damages, financial costs. It's also more costly in terms of reputational crisis and damage. So you are sitting here trying to reinflate your economy, trying to recover economically.
And attract FDIs, foreign direct
and then
investors.
the basics of contract. And again, if you look at the report by the World Justice Project, looking at rule of law rating, Nigeria is 23 out of 34. Rwanda, everybody talk about Rwanda, is number 1. So there's a correlation between number 1 in rule of law and investment. There's a correlation between same standards of contracts and investment. So we cannot be a country that's struggling. We just had a conversation over food crisis. We have low capitalization of productive forces. Many industries we are deindustrializing. You cannot be the same country and you are managing contracting with such, discretion, such abuse of power. And then people are saying, some of the reports talk about the companies have newly formed with persons who are politically exposed as shareholders. So it could suggest to everybody that, look, this is just gaming. The government comes in, some presidents say, look, this is business for us, we'll chunk off these guys. And then you're not explaining. So if there is a reason why the previous contract cannot hold, like I said in that press conference, illegality, maybe it was procured through corruption, or they hit critical factors, we've discovered they're not capable, you have to come clean and say, this is a process we need to negate this contract and then rebid for this contract. None of this happened. So I think it's not just, it speaks, and people are telling us that there are so many of these cases coming up where, government officials deliberately, recklessly, avoid contracts, re-award those contracts because they probably want to award it to some other persons. So this is not even about the parties involved, even though it's important. This is also about key procurement tool, and public finance management rests first and foremost on mode of procurement. And the idea of the PPA, and this is one of the recommendations, we say, look, it's now time to bring back, to formally inaugurate the Public Procurement Council. The Act provides for a council, which is a mixed house with NGOs participation. A year ago was about empanaling it, and they were advised that, look, it's going to weaken you, and I didn't do that. So today, the BPE
has not been,
the PPP is not running as it ought to run, as a neutral, independent body, because if it has the oversight of the council, who makes policy and guideline, then it's able to kind of push back against potential pressure from people in the villa. Today, the BPP is almost like collapsed into the presidency. Whether it's the Buhari or Jonathan or Tinubu, is collapsed to the presidency. And that's not good for public procurement integrity and not good for public finance management, which is part of the overarching framework for public procurement in the country.
All right. Associate
So let's
Professor
need
of Law.
to rectify this, readdress the issue. At least start with coming out with information. Why do you have to cancel it? Provide Nigerians question, why do you have to cancel?
Concrete.
Free,
Yeah.
where you're paying no money, 18 years, you've not started it.
And you're going to make 40% of the over $2.8
$2.8
billion.
Why do you choose that over somebody who you're going to pay to something million?
Million
and
dollars
there's no
to
guarantee
who?
of what you get.
Why are they paying the other contractor
Contractors
$28 million?
$2
To do what?
And why should BPE issue 2 no objection certificate for the same contract within 2 years Is it that they don't know? They have no database. I mean, so this probably points to something much more, unhealthy for Nigerian economic development.
Very unhealthy indeed for Nigeria's economic drive and attraction of foreign direct investments.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sam Amadi, Arise Analyst, as well as the Director, Abuja School of Social and Political Thoughts. I got that right?
Very well.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yes.